Hey, evening, groovers. Hope you're having a fantastic evening. Welcome to this little session where we're going to be talking about solo blues guitar. This is kind of officially like a product launchy thing. It's been out for a little while. In fact, a little while, a couple of decades, if we go way back. But I'm going to try and give you some tips and tricks along the way of actually practicing this stuff and talking about how I'm explaining it. We've also got some questions from people who have actually already bought it as well. So I'm going to try and be combining all of those things. But let me talk a little bit about the idea and the process and why this product even exists and how I kind of came up with these things. So one of the things I love doing the most on guitar is sitting around and noodling blues, like I was just doing at the front there, and just not really having an objective. I'm not trying to play a particular thing. I'm just exploring and noodling, and especially if I'm playing on my own, I feel it's quite liberating because I'm not beholden to a particular time or having to jam with somebody else where they're following me. So it's quite a free and liberating feeling. It still probably wants to be in time most of the time. But again, if you're playing on your own, does it really matter if it goes a little bit loosely? I would register, hey, that was a bit sloppy. I maybe need to tidy that up. But it's a really nice feeling. It's great music shop fodder if you're playing in you go to try out a guitar, being able to play a little bit on your own, I think is a really strong thing to get into your bag. So the point of this solo blues course was to try and give people some starting point, a starting platform to explore and get creative within a framework and see and hear some of the ideas that other blues guitar players might draw on for inspiration to try and find fun things to noodle about with. And so it was kind of born probably 20 years ago, a long time ago. There's a few people ask about a DVD product. That's how old it is. DVDs, these little discs that looked a little bit like CDs and they played videos after VHS for the real youngsters, the big tapes, that kind of era. Anyway, 20 years ago. And I started writing them as much as anything for myself to try and kind of formalize ideas that I had on ways that I could do it and try and dive a little deeper into a particular concept. So I'd be like, oh, there's this idea or this lick that I'd hear on a record. So I'd take that lick out and then see how many different ways I could percolate it together. I'd write it into arrangement for myself. And at that time, I still had a lot of in-person students. So I used to run through these arrangements with them to give them an interesting thing to learn that works as a party piece at the end of the day. If you're not familiar, the term party piece is like a piece of music that you can play on your own without needing any accompaniment. It's kind of how my definition of that anyway. So that's the point. That's the point and where they came from. So I'm going to run into a couple of the questions straight away because they directly relate to this stuff. And then I'll talk about a couple of ideas of getting into this style. So somebody says, I have the DVD version of the old solo blues course. Actually 3 DVDs. Is the new course the same content and songs as the DVD, just refilmed? That's from Laurie. So yes and no. So I revised all of the pieces that were on the blues DVDs and thought a bit about feedback that I've had on those pieces over the last 20 years from students. And I played through them again. I'm like, how can I make this better? Are there bits that I could tweak? So there's some fresh ones, completely fresh ones. There are many from before. I'm trying to think of exactly the odds. I think there's 6 or 7 of them are old ones. But the other thing that I added to the new collection is a series that I called primer ones, which are designed to be slightly simplified versions of the full one so that you get a chance to learn the concept without it being too complicated, because they start pretty simple, but some of the later ones are pretty tricky. So I started trying to rearrange simplified versions, called them primers, so that you can get the fundamental technique together without it being overly challenging. So that was the first thing that happened. And the second thing was feedback I got from the first one was the first DVD edition, was, yeah, these arrangements are great fun to learn, but I could do with some more help on how to improvise within those techniques. So now there's kind of 4 parts to each arrangement. There's the playthrough of it, so you know what it should sound like. Then there's the lesson, where I break it down bar by bar. And then there's a slow play along for once you've got it together, trying to play it nice and slowly. And then there's an improv lesson where I talk about ways of improvising within the framework. The other really big change is that we've incorporated a technology from a company called Match My Sound, and their software has a way of detecting what it is that you're playing, and therefore giving you feedback when you play as to whether you're hitting the notes right, whether you're playing too fast, like rushing, or whether you're dragging. So you literally hit record and you play along with the metronome, the piece, and then when you finish, it gives you feedback. It says, hey, this part was great, but this part needs some work, and you were rushing here, or slow down here, or there's a wrong note. And I think that's a really great way of getting feedback on these sort of things. This isn't a tutor-led course. This is a off you go, play with the toys kind of a course. So I think that being able to get that kind of feedback through a virtual means, I think, is going to be pretty valuable for a lot of people. So they're the major changes. The second question about the course content, before I go into actually like trying to teach an idea, is I've completed your Solo Blues immersion course. Is there crossover between this course and Solo Blues? There's no crossover. In the Blues immersion course, we talk about rhythm as a rhythm guitar part within a band. This is all about just playing on your own. There's no band arrangements. There's no like backing tracks kind of stuff. This is, as I said at the top, the idea of this is trying to teach you how to noodle a bit on your own. It's mostly fingerstyle. There's a couple that you could play with a pick, but I generally find this kind of technique is better done with fingers. Some people prefer using a thumb pick and fingers. And some of it you can do with a pick. I quite often do noodle around in this style with a pick as well, but I think I'm going to mostly focus on the rhythm part. So I'm going to try and just give a little kind of demo of one of the ideas that I think is really valuable, which is this. People often wonder about moving from rhythm guitar to lead guitar. And it's really, really, really important that you get that it's not just something, if you're burning on lead guitar and you're solid with rhythm, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to alternate between them seamlessly. So the starting point that I would recommend for most guitar players, if they're getting into blues, would be to play a bar of rhythm, finish on beat 1, play the chord on beat 1, and then just for beats 2, 3, and 4, you play some sort of little lick, keeping it really simple to begin with, and then go back to doing the rhythm and learn to alternate between those two different things. Now, there's a couple of other questions about the fingering style. A lot of traditional bluesers play just with thumb and the first finger. A lot of that kind of Clapton things and Big Bill Broonzy and Sunhouse and all of that is thumb and first finger mostly, very little use of the other fingers, but I'm teaching more of a fingerstyle method with all of them together. So let's just have a little try. Let me go to my close-up camera if that's going to be working today. Looks like it is. Let me get to that so I can make sure I'm in focus as well. So the idea, just in the key of E, you might go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, or 2, 3, 4, 1. Obviously, I'm keeping it super simple. Let's move to eighth notes. 1, 2, and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4. This is okay. Somebody's just said your camera orientation is vertical, like for the shorts. Okay. This is weird, fan. I'm just going to call help here. Is the shorts one the main one, or how do people separate from one to the other? Do we?
I've shared the link in the comments. I'll pin it again. But if anyone's seeing it in portrait and wants to see it in landscape, you can just click on the link
Okay.
in the chat. So I shared it. Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
bye.
fan. Okay, I'm going to try and it does make sense if I'm going to have a short that I make it so that you can actually see it. So let me try that again. So the idea, I'm just going to be playing real simple, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So just literally playing on the beat to start off with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe playing 8 notes then. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Maybe triplets. Okay, so the idea is that this little bit, this playing a little bit of rhythm and then playing a little bit of lead is really, really valuable, but you got to start simple. Don't rush into it. Don't be in a hurry, because coming back right on the beat is the thing that matters. If you don't, if you go like it just doesn't work. What works about doing that is the timing. Sorry, my in-ear cable is pulling on the back of my head and annoying me. The the point is playing in time. So that's really the focus, and you're much better off playing simple things and actually managing to stay in time rather than trying to play complicated things and knocking yourself out of time. You know, I say it all the time, but the rhythm has been in our species for millennia. Our sense of harmony, or Western harmony, has only been around for a couple of centuries. So rhythm is inherently in us, and if the rhythm goes funky and weird, then people just like they can smell that it's not kind of right. Okay, there is some problems here with the getting the link. Apparently, sorry, we're doing the best we can. This is new. This idea of streaming to shorts as well as to regular YouTube things is a bit new. Haven't tried it before. Anyways, I shall crack on and pretend that it's not a drama. Hopefully, it'll figure itself out. Oh yeah. Yes, you do need to close the shorts tab if you're gonna. Otherwise, you're gonna hear double. So I mentioned this is part of the Solo Blues Guitar product over on justtheguitar.com. There are three, I think, tracks, 2 or 3 tracks that are completely free, where you can go and check it out, and you can test the Match My Sound software, see if it gels with you. There's a guitar profile if you prefer that format. There's a PDF file if you want to do that in a video lesson. Those first ones don't have the whole separated lesson and the slow play along, fast play along, and the improv things. I talk about all of those elements, but they're not in separate videos like they are in the paid part of the course. So if you want to go and check it out, there's a discount code SoloBlues50. I think Fan will probably paste a link somewhere around there. So if you use that code, you get half off until November 21, I want to say, but hopefully I got that right. Back to some questions. One from John. He says, Justin, you teach these blues pieces one bar at a time, combining bars as you progress. Other teachers teach bass and melody separately and then stitch them together. Have you tried teaching it this way? Thoughts? It's a perfectly valid approach. It's just you like apples or you like oranges. The playing the bass part on its own definitely has some value. But what I found in the past is that actually making the step up from just playing the bass to being able to fully improvise while there's a different bass part going along is actually considerably harder than you might think. And that, in my experience, learning a bar of it is something that's useful because you could practice that one bar with the melody over and over. Let's say, let me see if I can figure out this close-up thing again. Let's just go there. Okay. I can't get the other hand in the short, though. I don't know how to do that. So you're just going to have to watch one hand. But if we took that, that's a nice, useful little lick. If you were just practicing doing this, if you practice doing that for the whole song, it's not a bad thing to work on. But I feel like having licks having a lick in there that you're actually using becomes a musical element that you can repeat and practice over and over. And by practicing that one melody, you're limbering the brain up to this idea that, hey, there's this bass thing and then there's a melody going on top. And at least for me, I always found it easy to think of things in terms of when the notes are played together or separately. So I'm thinking separate, together, together, separately, together, separately. I find that a lot easier than thinking that I've got this bass, especially if you're practicing a relatively simple bass line on its own. It's a bit easy to get it fast and then you won't get the fingers fast. And some of the other common arrangement sort of things, styles like this, is where you just play one note on the bass. So steady thumb blues is, I think, the free one. Now I can't remember how steady thumb blues goes. I'm going to have to reference my little, I just need to remind myself. Steady thumb blues. No, that's a guitar profile. Where's the PDF? There it is. Why is it not showing on my screen? That's not very helpful. And that's not very helpful either. No. I said to Fan, I must get the sheets up so that I can use them if somebody asks about something. And then, of course, the steady thumb blues just isn't opening up at all anywhere on my screen. So that's not very good. And the steady thumb blues primer doesn't have a guitar profile either. It's because I've turned my oh, come on, I must be able to remember it. Steady thumb blues. Oh, that's it. Okay, so that idea, if you played just the bass note on its own, not really super useful there, but playing, getting used to being able to play a melody. You get the idea. Having the consistent thumb and then adding the melody in bar by bar gives you something musical to practice. Just when I was playing that then, a couple of times I didn't keep the bass completely consistent either. And that was a thing I always felt for a long time like if I'm playing in that style, I must keep the bass going, and it's absolutely crucial to the style. And as an exercise, it's pretty a good thing to work. I have and do work on it, but also actually most of the great blues guitar players don't always keep those bass notes super consistent all the time. Loads of examples of my favorite guitar players doing these sort of things where it's not like exactly it all the time. It doesn't really matter. Again, if you're playing it on your own, you're playing it for fun. It's like don't matter. No one's going to get injured if things are not dead perfect. Anyways, okay. Let me run to the next question on there, which was the other learning, which was from Matthew. I'd like to develop fingerstyle technique that works well across different styles and courses, not only blues. For this course, do you recommend using PIM or just thumb and index? Yeah. So I'm using PIMA for most of it. There are a couple of ones where I recommend that you use thumb and first finger because it fits the style a little better. The hooker style one is like that. It's thumb and first finger. You don't have to do that. You can use first and second. All of those things are valid, and I think it's worth working and being aware of all of these different variations and finding the ones that work for you with whatever it is that you want to play. Doing a course like this is it will help you with playing other styles. It'll improve your finger style game, generally speaking, because you're learning new techniques and you'll be able to apply them in other styles for sure. But I wouldn't discount like the thumb and first finger thing. You've got all of that. It's like one of the classic guitar pieces of all time. And that's all just thumb and first finger. And it's like the big Bill Brunsey blues classic that I would encourage everybody to learn at some point because it's just great fun to do. And that's a great example of the thumb and the first finger thing. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And just while we're on that, I said I was going to try and pepper in some like actual lessony bits. Just because I touched on it already with this steady thumb idea. It's a great exercise to just experiment with trying to keep the thumb consistent and play other notes as you go along. Just as a thing, just to go like 2, 3, a little bit of palm mute here with the picking hand, and then going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. If you can do eighth note. And I've got off on another one. But the idea of practicing that, and again, what I want to teach you here is noodling and exploring and playing around with these things. And that's what I love doing. And that's what I'd encourage you to learn these pieces for, is to, have fun and explore these ideas. Learning arrangements is definitely helpful. And it's something as well as writing arrangements, I've learned loads of other people's arrangements over the years, like that big Bill Brunsey thing, because I'm developing ideas and learning new things each time I learn the set arrangement. So you've got these things, specific things to practice, but you can also explore on your own as well. Okay, how are we going? Starred questions over here. Alfio says, how much does that Match My Song integrate to recording software like GarageBand? Match My Sound doesn't integrate with GarageBand at all. It is only a thing where you can record your guitar into Match My Sound, and then it analyzes it externally and gives you feedback. So it's not something that you can integrate with GarageBand or anything else, unfortunately. Is the Ultimate Bundle access to basically everything on the website? The Ultimate Bundle is access to the things that it says on the page. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. It definitely doesn't cover things like the Blues Immersion course, which is, it's our biggest ticket thing on the site. and it's not even open for registering at the moment. Anyway, I am confident that on the website it pretty clearly lists the things that are included and what's not. The Match My Sound, this pack is the Solo Blues course is part of that ultimate pack. Shall I take it? I'm pretty sure it's the Match My Sound course, Practical Music Theory Lifetime, Strumming SOS course, and the Jam tracks, and maybe transcribing blues solos as well. I think maybe something else. I think that's what's included. Check out the website though. That's the thing to do. I should know all of those things, and I don't. So anyway, that's how it goes. Randy's got a good question. I have trouble staying on track when practicing guitar. I end up playing songs I already know and stay in my comfort zone. How will Solo Blues help me move forward and progress as a guitar player? Well, if you study it, it'll make you better because you'll have more things to practice. And if you follow my advice on learning to improvise within each one of the frameworks, then you'll have infinite food because you'll be able to, when you just sit down to noodle and play the songs you already know, you'll be improvising in the style that you've already learned or learning. And if you're improvising with it, you should hopefully be learning and trying out new things as you go along. So that could potentially help you. It's a slightly tricky one because for most people, most of the time, the hardest part of practicing guitar is getting your bum on the seat. So I would really recommend that you try and give, if you're struggling with practice and trying to make time for it, that you give yourself like a 5 or a 10-minute practice routine, not more, and make sure it's something that you actually enjoy doing and that it's good fun to do. What I find, if I've got myself like a 2-hour schedule and I'm trying to practice all this stuff, I never do it. I go like, oh God, I don't have 2 hours now because I've got to go and pick the kids up in 1 hour, so I'm not going to start practicing. No, I don't practice. Whereas I could have got an hour done. So I go for really short little practice sessions, and what I usually find is they go a bit longer than the prescribed session. At the moment, I've got a 21-minute practice routine. It's 7 groups of 3-minute things, and that's quite manageable. If I get extra time, I might do it all twice, but it's, keep it nice and short. I think you'll find is more helpful than, to be honest, like this course may well help you get on track if it inspires you to practice, but if it's not inspiring you to play it, then it's probably not going to help in your situation. You need to find out what really inspires you to play, and then try and find a little 5-minute slot where you go, right, I'm going to go and practice that thing that really excites me about guitar. That would be more productive than buying my course, completely honestly. Am I the only one in the first prep lessons and like the songs I'm learning? Will I end up with skills to play blues beyond memorizing songs? Will these skills transfer to other songs and help me improvise? Yeah. No, I'm hoping that the prep arrangements are valuable and just as useful a party piece. They're just a bit simpler. Whether you learn the skills to improvise within the form will be dependent on if you practice improvising within the form. Just playing the arrangement won't help you. It'll help you improvise because it'll give you vocabulary to improvise with, but you have to practice improvising. It's like learning loads of licks and loads of phrases and practicing scales. If you don't actually practice using those things, you'll never learn to improvise with them. So you absolutely must take each little idea and try and improvise with it as much as you can. So gospel slides, that's another one. I really like this one. So gospel slides as a thing, as to E first of all, is this one, and it's actually, this is an E6 chord to an E9 chord. That's what's going on here. So when you've got this, but there's lots of ways of doing. You can also do a 6/9 like this. And also up here, so E, they're all E6, E9, E6, E9, E6, E9. And then you've got more here. You've got E6, E9, E6, E9, E6, E9. So just from here, you've got so if that's all the E ones, when it comes to playing a blues, if you're just exploring that idea, improvising with it, you got a lot of food. So I'm going to try and keep the rhythm the same, right? There's lots of different variations of using the rhythm for gospel slides, but this is just as an example of trying to improvise with a concept rather than improvising with a set thing. With gospel blues particularly, I'd recommend people learn two of them first of all. This one and this one on the E. It's actually the same notes, just on a different set of strings. But if you were doing a blues in E, you go E to A, back to E. You do it twice probably. If you're playing a 12-bar blues. So you should be able to just use those two and get through right the way through a 12-bar blues. So it's not really improvising, but it's taking a concept all of the way through a 12-bar blues. But if you decide to start changing which patterns go where, then you're improvising, really, because I'm deciding on the moment which one I'm going to use. I might start in E, A, back to E. I do that from A, back to E, to B, A, back to E. Maybe I put a turn around. And then maybe I'm going to go somewhere else. So in the arrangements, what you want to try and do is get to the essence of it. That's what I talk about in the improv lesson is, hey, here's the big concept that we've learned that made up the arrangement. Now let's extract a couple of those bits and then try and improvise with just little elements. You don't want to try and take too many things at once, too many big, complicated things and try and reconstruct it. It's too difficult. So you take just one little idea and you learn to improvise and utilize that one tool. Because a little thing like this is something that I use, this gospel slides I use all the time. All the time. I love it. And you can use it in so many different ways with so many different rhythms and styles and whatever. So it's a lot bigger than just learning that one piece. So I'm going to take one earpiece out because earpieces, the in-ear monitors, they're really good ones, but they just they give me the heebie-jeebies after a bit. Anyway, hope all of this is making sense. Let me just click over to the chat very quickly. There's a few starred ones there, but I've also got a few questions. Okay, I'm going to just go through the questions from previous users, the next three, and then I'll go back to the start questions. Dave says, Justin, do you recommend using Match My Sound as soon as you can play the piece through, or wait till you've played it as well as you can? I think that the methodology that I suggest all of the way through the course is bar by bar. And as we discussed earlier, there's different approaches. You can learn all of the bass parts and then add the melody in. I feel like the most effective one is learning a bar, really focusing on it, learning a second bar, just focusing on that second bar until you can play it, then playing bar one and bar two till you can play those two perfectly, preferably from memory. Then you just work on bar three. You practice bar three on its own till you can do it, not as perfectly as, till you can do it reasonably well. Then you join it onto 1, 2, and 3, and you practice 1, 2, and 3. Then you do number 4, and you practice that one by itself. Then do bars 1, 2, 3, 4, all in a line, bar 5, etc. till you got through the piece. Once you've got through the piece, you need to start playing from the beginning to the end and noticing which bits were the weakest, which bits need the most polish, and then you go back and you practice those once again. Now, it would be fair to say, in some circumstances with some arrangements, that means that you're getting more practice at the beginning on the beginning pieces than you do at the end. But there's lots of times in music where you have a kind of a commonality between the different parts of a song, and you very often get things like A, structure. So you get like a melody idea that's repeated, then there's something different, and then it comes back again. So very often when you learn that way, you do end up having a kind of a stronger point at the beginning and end and just a weaker bit in the middle because it's different. But I've been using this idea for more than 30 years, practicing myself and teaching other students to do the same way. And I think it's, in my opinion, the most effective path for doing that. So my recommendation, coming back to your question, would be once you can play it from beginning to end, then you play it with Match My Sound, and you can utilize that tech to help you define which are the parts of the arrangement you need to work on the most. So then you would go back, work on those bits till you feel that they're better, then you play it through again and look for the next weakest point. If the Match My Sound doesn't notice anything that's going wrong, then you're going to have to be your own judge and use your intuition to feel, hey, this bit needed more work than this other bit, that kind of thing. I like the playlist. There's no one, it doesn't say who said this. I like the playlist that accompanied each BLIM module. Any plans to make similar playlists for this course? It's a fine idea, but because of the way the arrangements are written, it would be very difficult for me to give real world examples of people using the arrangement in the same way as I've taught it. What I might be able to do, I'll start doing it just in my casual blues listening. When I start to notice examples of the techniques and concepts in the real world, I'll try and add them into a playlist. And if I can, amass a decent amount, then I'll post that in there. It's a cool idea, but it is just the arrangements are quite homogenized. They're each one is based on a very specific concept, which is not the way they're usually utilized in the real world. That's that one. Just give me a second to have a slurp of Guinness here. So Ashu's got almost the same question. Hope you're doing well, Ashu. Are the blues standards that match the skills we learn in the modules, or should we wait till the end before trying songs like Before You Accuse Me or Mojo Your Hand? So I'm not aware of real world masters examples that use the arrangements in the same way, but let me listen out for it and see if I can specify and say, hey, this arrangement by Sun House uses this idea, check it out, and then hopefully you'll be able to recognize the way they kind of link together. But it's maybe not quite as obvious as it would have been in the BLIM era of things. Okay, Tom says, what is the realistic time frame to complete the course, taking the time to absorb the content and apply the lessons into practice? That would be a difficult question because the difficulty of the arrangements is quite broad, so it would depend on where you were at. So if you were an upper intermediate guitar player, you'd probably find the first few quite easy, the middle ones about your right level, and the later ones challenging. It also depends on how much you want to get out of each one and to what level of depth you're going to do. Using that example of the gospel blues, like just being able to utilize one or two of those shapes and put them into practice is great. That would already be a massive win. If you're going to be able to improvise comfortably with all 6 of the patterns that I show in the final arrangement, then that's a mission. Like I'm still exploring that stuff, even though I've known about them for years and years and years. So I'm not sure when it comes to improvising within a form like blues, whether there's a finish. I think you could learn if you're an upper intermediate guitar player, you could probably finish the lot in a year. If you're a beginner, it's going to take a lot longer because you're going to need to develop other skills to be able to get to the harder arrangements. Hopefully that answers your question there, Tom. Okay, Mike says, do solo blues teach which notes to hit and which not to hit in a key when improvising? This is where I'm struggling. I want to improvise, but just don't know where to go. So, Mike, no, it doesn't. The solo blues will give you some vocabulary to use, but it's much more about the soul playing on your own concept rather than the lead guitar thing. It sounds to me like you want to be working on the BLIM course, the blues immersion course, which shows you all 5 pentatonic frameworks and what notes you can use within each one, but it does it in the way of vocabulary, which I think is a better way to learn it than just thinking in terms of, oh, I can use these notes, because it's, yeah, you can, but depending on what order you put the notes in, sometimes they can sound good or sometimes they can sound crummy. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a funny question because it just doesn't work quite the same way. The answer is no, it doesn't teach you that specifically. It's teaching you arrangements and how to use the vocabulary contained in the arrangement. Mr. Whiskey says, I've been working hard on learning the first primer track, but it seems to take so long for me. I follow the tips like learning each bar really slowly, but it still takes forever, it seems. Any tips? So it's hard for me to say without seeing you do it. Practicing each bar really slowly and getting it right is really important. Sometimes, and I'm going to throw this out there, but I can't, having not seen you do it, I'm not sure this is the right solution for you. If you try and ride a bike really slowly, it's harder than riding a bike at a medium speed. So occasionally in guitar land, there are things that you have to do it at a reasonable speed for it to make sense. Legato is a good example of that when you're playing like faster guitar licks. If you do it really slowly, there's the tendency to hammer the fingers down much too hard. And if you try and do it much too hard, you won't make it faster because there's too much tension in your hand. So you have to find that balance where you can do it fast enough that you lose the tension and kind of flow more with it. And that gives you the chance to be able to actually do it, whereas too slowly would make it wrong. So that could be the thing. I'm trying to think what other, if you notice that there's a technical problem, like you can't pick the notes quick enough, then maybe you need to isolate the thing that you can't do and try and practice that thing that's holding you back. Just as a little tip, the way I do it when I'm practicing, if there's something that's getting stuck that's not working well, is I try and watch myself as if I'm someone else and be objective in what I see, and I try and make the mistake so I can watch what the mistake is. And then the objective observer in me can go, oh, dude, you're just leaving your first finger down for too long before you get to that, whatever the feedback would be. So imagining that you're someone else, watching yourself, and then trying to make the mistake and take feedback from it. I think that's the other good tip if you're worried that there might be a technical issue with what you're doing. So there we go. I'm just trying to think what let me have a look at what the other arrangements are to see if there's some other. Oh, targeting the third. Okay, so another one of the, just want to give you again some tips as we go along. One of the other arrangements is called the target third blues. And one of the things I think is really helpful to understand is that the third of each chord in a blues isn't contained in the minor pentatonic scale. So if we're playing a blues in E, the note G sharp isn't in E minor pentatonic. So if I play that note, the listener really hears that an E is being played. The third of the chord of an A7 is the note C sharp, which is also not in the minor pentatonic. So as soon as you target the G sharp, the listener will hear the E. If you target a C sharp, the listener will hear an A, and the third of a B7 chord is the note D sharp, which is also not in the minor pentatonic. So if you learn to target the thirds, even though you're playing single notes, the listener will usually be able to hear the harmony. So for example, I'm going to play a blues in E. Could you hear the changes? So in the arrangement that we do the target third blues, I give you some specific lead lines that target those notes. Anyone who's been using my blues immersion chord will also be aware of chord specific licks, or licks that target the third of each of the chords. So that's a really, really nice way of outlining the harmony. Again, if you're playing for somebody else, you want to outline the harmony so they know where the changes are, but it just feels and sounds nice, even if you're just doing it for yourself as well. So learning those kind of tricks in the solo guitar world, I think, is a really nice thing to be aware of. It's very much like a theory-led practical example. So it has its roots in music theory. The third of the chord is that, defines the sound of the harmony, but actually in practice it's just learning some licks that target that particular note and putting them in the right spot. So that's a nice little thing to have a bit of a play around with. Let me go back to this. Oh gosh, there's still quite a few questions here. How much time have I got left? Where are we? What's the time? 48, 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to rip through the earlier questions because it's important that I get them done. Feedback. Will there be any opportunities for enrollees to get feedback on their playing performances, the compositions, by recording and sharing in the forum? From Andy, there's no official feedback, but the community's pretty big and pretty popular. So if you place something in the community, people are going to see it and people are going to feedback. There's no official promise that I'm going to watch anyone's performances, but I will try. I try and get in the forum and watch some stuff. So yeah, it might happen. Andy's there's an area specifically for solo blues. Penny's just reminded me in the community, so there's definitely somewhere to be pasting it. Will there be any additions to the course or ongoing forms of support in the future, or is it basically a finished product as it is? So there are two that I was supposed to do last week, but I've had a whole run of child illnesses and other stuff that's been going on that has meant that I haven't been able to get that completed yet. So there are two remaining arrangements. One of those arrangements isn't done because I'm trying to write a primer for it as well. So there's three probably to go, and I might end up putting some more in there. I've got a few other ones that are kind of half finished that I'm like, well, I'm not going to make a whole nother course of them. So I would say that there's definitely three more going in this year, and potentially more next year when I get a little break in stuff. I might end up making some lessons on some new ones. I might end up just putting some arrangements in there, or starting point arrangements, maybe. Haven't decided yet. But yeah, still two definites, one primer to go in there, possibly plus some more. James says, is there any reason you can't play solo blues on electric guitar? It just sounds better on acoustic. You can totally do it on electric guitar if you want. I just think it sounds better on acoustic guitar, and it's easier for me to record it that way. So that's why I've done it on acoustic. Robert says, will I be using my resonator? I haven't. My resonator is up there feeling very, very unloved right now. I haven't got a pickup in it. That's why I haven't recorded with it yet, just because it's a pain to get the mic out and all of that. So, excuse me, it's in the works to get the guitar down to my tech and get a pickup fitted. Integration with other courses, levels. Teresa says, I'm in the middle of grade 2 course. The solo blues class starts at level 4. Should I wait until I finish level 3? Or is there a way to weave it into a weekly practice? I watched the boom bass with licks in the prep section. It looks doable. Teresa, if it feels doable, then check it out. Maybe I'd start with those free ones first of all in the prep section. Those ones are the easiest ones, so they're probably the better place to start, and then see how you feel toward the end of those if you're enjoying the process. Let's remind myself what the other easy ones are. Yeah, hooker vibes is pretty easy. Target third blues is fairly easy. 6 low and slow primer is pretty easy. So there's another few in the paid ones that are easy enough. Then we get into the later ones are definitely going to be a little tricky. The Raggy Island blues have got alternating bass patterns and stuff. So if you're only at grade 2, then you would find those ones pretty tricky. But again, the idea was to give people a choice of different difficulties that they can play within their comfort zone or challenge themselves to do fun new things. Hope that helps. Last question from Mark. Although the course combines rhythm and melody and groove, how best could I include vocals? Any tips for using loopers? This course is not going anywhere near loopers. I have a video on tips for using a looper. I don't have a looper set up, so it's definitely beyond what I could do now. If you're doing vocals, you just need less stuff going on because you're able to just play and you can sing and it makes musical sense. If you got a vocal, you can use it and you don't need lots of licks because you keep it pretty simple on the guitar. You could add some fills if you like Clapton does, so that's a cool thing. So it would totally make sense if you're singing to work on doing the solo blues thing as an interlude, but if you're going to do that, you just really want to make sure that you're super solid with a simple rhythm to sing over. Nothing sounds worse than, well, there are things that could sound worse, but it doesn't sound good when somebody plays a wobbly rhythm underneath a vocal. So really work on keeping your timing really, really solid, I would recommend. Okie dokie. Fan has removed the starred question, so that was it. Okay. Wow, the chat's going crazy today. Anyways, I've still got a little bit of time. So, Fan, are there still? Do you remember where some of those started questions? Or if you've got a question again, pop it in the chat back. I think, as I said, final question. I meant the final question on my sheet over there. But Fan's being a bit of an eager beaver and just went and unstarred all of the starred questions, and now she's desperately looking through. They go, "Where's the questions now? I can't do it." Mr. D says, "Can you do any rockabilly?" I don't do any rockabilly in this course. No. I don't know a lot. Rockabilly is one of those styles that I quite like listening to, but I've never tried to play it or learn it. So, yeah. This one, solo blues teach which notes to hit and which. No, that's that was an earlier question. Now I'm trying to scroll through. Oh, fans found 2-starred ones. Here we go. Sequences guitar. It's interesting username. When learning a new song that is close to one already known, just slightly changed rhythmic timing, what tips do you have to recondition your mind to play the new timing? Yeah, that sucks when something's really close but not quite. Tips on getting that right when you do that. What do you do? I think there's too many variables there to answer that question succinctly. Depending on what it was, you might change the key of the thing. That's something I've mentioned before for blimmers when they're learning new scales and new ideas, that you can sometimes, by doing things in a new key, you can distance yourself from the original one. So, but it depends if you're talking an improv thing or whether you're talking about a song arrangement. You definitely don't want to be practicing the two things concurrently, like at the same time. That would be a bad idea. You'd want to be practicing one or the other to try and ditch the old one and put the old one into kind of a long-term memory, and then start on the new one. Yeah, tricky question. Tricky. No, I mean, just tricky thing to have to encounter. I don't like having to encounter that either. Hope that might help. Lighthouse says, are the tracks on Match My Sound played by Justin on the Froggy Bottom? They are indeed. This exact Froggy Bottom. Yeah. This is my main one. I've got another Froggy Bottom there next to the Telecaster. And that one's been my main writing guitar lately. It's a beautiful, beautiful instrument, but it's also really, really, really loud. So when I've been trying to record with it, I had it made. It's a matte finish. It's not shiny, and I had it made specifically for making videos. And I was expecting it to be my main guitar, but it's so loud, it's so punchy and full that it gets in the way of the mic, the vocal mic, which is hidden up here in my hat. The hat mic is picking up so much of the guitar that it was difficult to balance the guitar and the voice, which is outrageous. It records beautifully with a microphone, but like when I'm recording, properly, not for YouTube videos, then it sounds amazing. But for YouTube, I think I'm sticking with my old Froggy M for now. It's yeah, it's lovely. Okay, my Apple has gone bananas. This is weird, bro. You gotta be AI. Bro, I gotta be AI. Yeah, I am absolutely. I wish there was some. That would be really cool. I need to get some sort of special effecty thing so I can like suddenly peel off my face Terminator style and look like I'm a robot. Is the guitar sound just through the piezo? It sounds great. It is through it. It's not. No, it's plugged in. There's a piezo in here and a microphone as well. I've got a microphone, like a condenser, nice condenser microphone inside the hole. Can you see that little silver thing inside the sound hole? So that is a microphone, and then I've got little knobs inside the sound hole here, which you almost certainly can't see, but they're just here and here, and I can adjust the volume of the piezo and the volume of the mic. So it's like the piezo's on 8 and the microphone's on like 4, and they are both fed into a Kemper profiler. And this is bizarre. I never ever would have thought a Kemper profiler, but I had it plugged in once, kind of by accident. I was like, oh, I wonder if there's any way of making the Kemper sound through the making acoustic through the Kemper. And I just typed in acoustic into the I can't remember what it's called, the online sharing platform part of the program, and there was something called Shetler Uni something, and I went like, I keep calling it unicorn. That's not what it is. But anyway, I just double clicked on it and played. I'm like, wow, this sounds amazing. And I've used the same profile. Every acoustic guitar song that you've heard from me in the last 8 or 9 years, probably. Yeah, 8 years or 9 years since I first bought a Kemper Profiler has been an acoustic guitar through that profile, just made by some random dude. Yeah, it's amazing. I think it sounds incredible. It doesn't sound as good with the Maton. It seems to have connected perfectly with the Froggy. And I bought a whole bunch of other acoustic preamps, and they just didn't quite have the same thing going on. So, anyways, that'll do. Piezo is a type of microphone that lives under the bridge. It's like a little magnetic strip that can catch the vibrations of the bridge and turn it into sound. It's how when people play acoustic guitar in live concerts, that's what they're using if they don't have a microphone in front of the guitar. Good question. I don't have any Martin guitars, interestingly. I don't even have one at all. I've got Maton guitars. I've got 4 or 5 Matons, which I absolutely love, and nothing against Martin guitars. In fact, should I do a quick waffle before I say goodbye? When I went to buy this guitar, was at Ben's shop, and I can't remember what Ben's shop was called. Now, my friend Ben, who's a guitar dealer now, lives in Nashville, rang me and said, hey man, we've got this amazing Martin D28, you should come and try it out. So I went there to try it, and it was amazing, but the price tag was also amazing, like crazy 5-figure number. I'm like, oh, dude, I can't afford to buy that. What do you think? And seeing as I'd traveled all the way out there, I said, oh, what else have you got? And he said, well, we got this secondhand Froggy bottom there. And I'm like, oh. He said, try it. So I sat down and played it. I was like, oh man, I love this guitar. This is amazing. And I didn't want to buy it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy it. And then I got home and was like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It's like, meeting some girl that you're infatuated with. And I ended up ringing Ben and going, mate, I need that guitar. Can you send it over? So that's how I came across this guitar. I have no idea who the previous owner was, but yeah, I love it. I did take it down to I always have trouble remembering my guitar builder's name, and that is so naughty. Oh no, why is it not coming up? I had this time last time. Oh, come on. He makes his own guitars as well, and they're incredible. And oh, this is so frustrating. Anyway, I took it to my guitar man. He's going to murder me. Nick Benjamin. I'm so sorry, Nick. I always forget Nick's name. I'm just like, what is going on? So all of my acoustic guitars, go to Nick Benjamin to set up, because he's the man, and he made this guitar. It was already really good, but he made it even better. straight away. Definitely recommend if you're in the market for an acoustic guitar. Nick Benjamin Guitars down on the south coast in England. It's a incredible builder and a lovely dude. What is a froggy bottom? This is a froggy bottom. It's a brand of guitar. It's really weird name, and I've still got no idea where it came from. Anyway, okay. I need to love you and leave you at that. I really hope you've enjoyed that. Fan's been posting the code. Yeah, there we go. Look, there's the code for the Solo Blues course, valid until November 21st. So click that. That looks different, Fan. I thought it was 50% off, but it's $50 off. Oh, I said the wrong thing earlier. I'm really sorry. I had the wrong end of that one. Anyway, Justin, right on the pulse of stuff. Me, I know everything that's going on. Anyways, okay. Have yourselves a fantastic time. I really hope you dig into the Solo Blues guitar course and that you enjoy it and that you find the arrangements fun and you enjoy improvising with it. I will do my best to check into the forum and watch some of the performances of you guys playing that stuff because I'm very curious to see what you guys can make, guys and girls. When I say guys, I mean guys and girls. I just say the one thing. Be interesting to see what you can make of it and improvise with those ideas as well. Big thanks to Fan for organizing all the questions and making the arrangements, making everything happen. Thanks, Fan. I'll see you all very soon. Next live is next week. Fan, is it? No, have I got one next week? I think I've got a feeling I've got a live next week, and I think it might be a music theory one.
Exactly.
It is music theory on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
So if you want to come and hang out again next Wednesday, I've done a live about music theory. I can't remember the topic off the top of my head. I'm sure it'll be very exciting, though. Things usually are. Have yourselves a absolutely fantastic weekend, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. Ciao, ciao.